Hello and welcome to Your New Jersey. I'm Lisa Marie Falbo. On today's show, we will hear from the creator of Rocksteady Boxing at Randolph YMCA. But first, Trinitas Regional Medical Center, RWJ Barnabas Health, recently welcomed a new president and CEO, Nancy DiLiegro. Dr. DiLiegro is here to tell us more about the vision she has for the Elizabeth Hospital. Doctor, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I really appreciate the time and sharing my vision and my journey that I've taken to get to this point.
And what a journey you've had, and it started 22 years ago here at Trinitas.
Correct. 22 years ago, the CEO called me. I was working with him in the Bronx at Our Lady of Mercy Medical Center. He had come to Trinitas, probably at that point, he was here a year. And he said, "You're coming to work for me at Trinitas Regional Medical Center." And I did. I was director of clinical operations. And as the years moved on and progressed, I became vice president of clinical operations, then eventually vice president of clinical ops, physician services, chief clinical officer. And that position I held for many years. It was a very rewarding position, very challenging. And I always had the dream of being COO or CEO. But when the news was told to me January 5th, I was in shock. I was like, wow, this is really the pinnacle of my journey. And I was just so elated, humbled, and privileged for the opportunity to serve Trinitas, the employees, the patients, and the community.
Well, in a full circle moment, that CEO that called you 22 years ago to come work at Trinitas is the gentleman that you succeeded, Gary Horan.
Correct. Gary was my mentor for a long time, and working for someone, when you calculate the time that I worked with him here and the time I worked with him in New York, we were about 23 years plus. And he was a great mentor, great leader, a visionary, a man who did not shy away from taking risks. That's why Trinitas is what it is today. So that phase of my professional path was so enriching. I was just thrilled to have that opportunity.
So, talk about your upbringing and why you chose this field.
I always had caregiving and compassion to providing care. I started real young. My dad was a pharmacist and he worked for Pfizer Pharmaceuticals for probably 42 years. And so when I went to college, I said, "Oh, I want to go to do something to be able to use it as a stepping stone." So I became a pharmacist. My dad was from Boston. That's where my family grew up. And he decided to go to college in St. John's in Queens. And I followed in his footsteps, and that's exactly what I did. I became a pharmacist. I did a administrative residency in Montefiore Medical Center in the Bronx, and I worked there for quite a while. And then I moved on to work at Lenox Hill for probably 20 some odd years. And I call it the Taj Mahal of healthcare. Working in Manhattan was just phenomenal. And then I moved to work to Gary, and I worked for him at Our Lady of Mercy Medical Center. And I was a corporate director for pharmacy and for dietary. So I had to travel to 3 sites. And then he brought me here to Trinitas, and I really thought I'd only be here a couple of years. And it ended up being a long time. It was a challenge because, working in this type of environment, you have so many unfunded mandates that you have to achieve. And it's really a challenge. Your day is go, go, go. And before you know it, the day is over. But it really keeps me going. So the days when I started as a candy striper were what, 15, 14? I don't even know if they have them anymore. I might be dating myself. But I started as a volunteer. And, I was at the bedside. I was giving out ice, if you will. That's what they had us do. And, just chat with the patients. And I said, I want to do something in healthcare. And I did. And it's just ingrained in me. And it's just being a caregiver and a provider. It's just so enriching. It's just so and challenging. And I have no regrets.
Now that you are the new CEO and you have big shoes to fill, what's next for the hospital?
Well, what's next is, I have to hear the employees. I have to I have to continue to meet the employees. Yes, they know me, but now they know me in a different capacity. So I have to continue the mission, continue who we are, advance the common good of the community, provide compassionate care to our community as well as to our Trinitas family, the employees and their families as well, and continue on that mission for outreach and healing, which is our top priority. We have a community that's in need of our healthcare and continue to advance and provide the best healthcare that we can, even to those who can't afford insurance and the indigent care. We have a very high indigent population, and that's embedded in our mission. We eat, breathe, and sleep for our patients. I mean, it's just who we are. But on the other side of the coin, I have a management staff now. It's different. I'm not the VP of operations. I'm now the president and CEO. So I have to continue to cultivate my teams and let them grow and be able to provide the best care that they can and be the best leaders they can. And how do I want them to do that? Is I want them to be an individual leader, not a number. And that was so important because I had that role model all along. We want them to grow, but we have to watch which direction they're rowing in and make sure they stay in the same path, and to make sure that they're following our vision as a local hospital and part of the system. So the team is important. And how do we do that? Relationship dimension is key. And I really want to continue to grow my staff and to grow the leaders here and make sure that they're continually lifelong learning. It's real important to me that they learn something every single day. And who do we learn best from is our patients, to hear their voice.
Well, it sounds like you have an amazing plan. I have no doubt that you're going to hit it out of the park in implementing that. But I also think what's to your advantage is you were one of them. It's not like you came in from some other system, some other hospital. You have been at Trinitas for over 2 decades. You were once an employee. So I think you sharing that commonality with your employees is only going to help you.
And you're so right there. I have built their trust. They know who I am. They know I'm no nonsense. They understand that what my expectations are. They know what I want. And I had a big team to begin with. Now I have an even larger team. And of course, they all talk to each other. So they know who I am. What you see is what you get. There's no errors. I'm very transparent. And I think they appreciate that. And I hope someone would tell me if I ever change that path, because I don't want to. I think it's so important.
It's all about listening and having understanding and compassion. And it's all tools that you needed in being a doctor and dealing with patients. Right. So now you're doing it just on the other side of that. So as you mentioned, Trinitas is in Elizabeth. You serve a population that is in dire need of amazing medical care. How do you envision going about making sure that Trinitas still maintains that high level that everyone's come to know and love?
We continue the trajectory. We don't break, we don't cut the rope, we don't change the path. We continue to enhance it. And that's one of the good things about joining RWJ Barnabas Health, is that they understand who Trinitas is. Things are different. How we achieve things are different because now we're part of a much larger system. We're one of 13 hospitals. So therefore, we have to answer to our new parents. And they understand our vision and our mission. They know who we are. And just like North Israel, we have similar populations, and as a result, we're going to continue to serve the patients in need.
So in getting to know Trinitas and Gary and all the wonderful work that your staff has done over the years, there's been many initiatives, fundraising initiatives that the hospital has taken on. A new emergency department named after Gary, actually.
Right.
A new breast center. The Peace of Mind campaign, which we'll touch on a little bit. What are some initiatives that you want to get going?
One that we just finished is to continue to expand and be able to provide the best technology we can to our patients. And that's one thing Gary was very strong on, is to always keep us state of the art. We just opened a new MR and IR. The next area that really needs to have expansion is a state-of-the-art cardiac catheterization lab, state-of-the-art endoscopy lab, as well as some of the other areas that have high technology in the OR So we're already in the and radiation oncology. I left them out, the new linear accelerators. So those are very high ticket items. Those are big projects. They'll probably be multi-year initiatives, but we'll already start planning for those and working with the system in terms of launching these initiatives. And it's key. We need to be competitive for our technology, for our population, and they need to have the best, just like everybody else. And those are the initiatives that are on the table right now. We're also redoing the New Point campus, which is our behavioral health hospital. I don't know if you recall, we got hit very hard with Hurricane Ida, and we had to rebuild a lot of the, just like from kitchens, conference rooms. I mean, there was just water everywhere during that hurricane, and we're actually pushing a lot of the initiatives through now in that area, and all the new initiatives that we're opening a new DDMI unit, adding 10 beds to the behavioral health system.
It's so crazy to think that Trinitas has one of the only inpatient mental health facilities in the entire state.
We're always want to have our admissions, our patients. We have great programs, great services, dedicated staff, and it's right here in Elizabeth. And it's just a phenomenal program. I'm just so proud of it.
Trinitas recently, in the last couple of years, became part of the RWJBarnabas Health system. How has that helped Trinitas?
It's been able to help us in terms of technology, being part of a bigger system. For example, you may have a perioperative collaborative exploring and investigating new protocols, new ways of doing things, standardization for just about anything that we do in the OR world. Then you have other departments, renal collaboratives, radiology collaboratives. Every service has a collaborative where the directors meet together to come up with standardized ways of doing things and best practices. And it's great because now we can share. We're not just alone doing X. We're with a bigger system where we can, instead of calling around and saying, how did you do this? You're actually working with your own family and a bigger family in terms of getting the best practice. And that's been nothing but phenomenal in terms of education. So September 28, 2024, Trinitas will be moving to the electronic medical record, which is called Epic. And that is a fantastic system that does everything but like tell you when to go to sleep. It is phenomenal. And we will be able to integrate throughout the system, 12 hospitals. I was a patient at Clara Moss, but now I'm going to Trinitas and Elizabeth. The doctor will be able to look at the records, everything they will have privy to, which is phenomenal. So it's a fully integrated system. And that's one of the great things about being part of a larger network, is that we are part of a system now. And we can share information. The medical doctors talk to each other. They have a transfer center. So if a patient, we didn't have a service here, the doctor in the emergency room would call the transfer center and say, hey, look, I need a colorectal surgeon. What do you recommend? Who do you recommend? And then we would arrange for that patient to go to that facility to have the appropriate care. Because you can't be everything. And some of the higher level care hospitals have X amount of services, and then we'd be able to work through the transfer center and get the patient the care that they need. So being part of a larger system has so many advantages. They're just ongoing. There's just so much.
So are you ready for the social aspect that comes with being a hospital CEO? Because there are so many events that happen throughout the year. How do you feel about that aspect of your new role?
Well, prior to this, I had a lot of events. Before COVID, sometimes I was doing events two times a week. But now in the new role, there were so many. I probably this week had 1, 2, 3 events to do, and there are many more to come. I'm ready for it. I'm the face to the organization. It's so important to be there, to let people know that you're part of it. And if you don't participate, then they think that you're not part of the community. So I'm ready for it.
Is Trinitas dealing with the shortage that you hear about in the news with nurses and other healthcare providers?
Yes, it is extremely challenging. Through COVID and post-COVID, a lot of employees exited. A lot of them have gone into different worlds, different environments to apply their skill sets. and we are struggling. We have so many vacancies. It's just a challenge. Recruitment has become a very challenging part of the job, even with adjusting salaries, which we have done. The system has been so supportive in um, changing the salaries, infusing dollars into the various rates, but it's still a challenge to get people to come and work at the hospital. We've gotten better. We've seen some positive results, but post COVID, uh, they they decided that this wasn't the environment they wanted to be in. That's one bucket. Another bucket is, a lot of them got used to or hearing the salaries that agencies were paying, travelers, if you will, and they pay so much more than the sites. Even though we've raised all our rates, it's become a challenge. Um, and then just working from home, doing alternate types of jobs, working remotely. It's there's just so many places that they could go work, and they don't want to be at the bedside anymore. It's been a challenge. It's not been an easy road. I hopefully it can turn around this year, but we're still struggling for sure.
Finally, before we wrap, you were named CEO on International Women's Day. How important is it for you to be in such a prominent role as a woman?
Extremely. I mean, they have two other women in the system that are CEOs. International Women's Day, was March 8th. That was the day of our board meeting where they announced my appointment. And none of us really realized it in the morning until somebody said, "Do you realize it's International Women's Day?" That just made me feel so great. And seeing that the other women who were part of the organization were just so thrilled that it was a woman, it made me even more elated. I think it was always important to say we want to see more women in the workforce in a leadership capacity, but seeing the employee staff here and the family, how they appreciated it, that made me just feel so great. You can't explain in words what it was like. It was very elating.
Well, I think they selected the right woman for the job. Congratulations. I look forward to
Thank you
seeing
so much.
how you bring Trinitas to the next level, and I know you're going to go on to do great things. Where can
Thank you.
people find out more about what's next for Trinitas?
Probably we're going to have a lot of it on our website. Our new AVP of social media and marketing, she's great at getting things on Facebook and LinkedIn. So I would follow Trinitas because that's where the message gets out there quickly through social media.
Doctor, thank you so much, and once again, congratulations.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Take care and use Trinitas.
Rocksteady Boxing is a program at the Randolph YMCA for people with Parkinson's disease to enhance their daily quality of life. Kathy Fisher, the CEO of Randolph YMCA, initiated the program in 2016 and is here to tell us more. Kathy, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on here and sharing this amazing program. What inspired you to start it?
I actually remember the day like it was yesterday. It was back in 2015. It was a Sunday morning, and I was starting to receive text messages from colleagues of mine, and they were telling me to turn on CBS Sunday Morning. And Leslie Stahl was doing a feature story on her husband who had Parkinson's. And the reason why colleagues were reaching out to me was because I have a background in boxing, and I also was a rehab specialist here at the Y at the time in my position as an aquatic director. And those two things seemed to fit really well with the story that Leslie Stahl was telling. And they were talking about Rocksteady Boxing and the amazing impact that it had on people with Parkinson's and how it was improving their quality of life. And once I tuned in and I saw what this program was doing, I just felt that I had to get involved.
How did you take action? How did you implement the program to help Parkinson's patients?
So the Rocksteady program existed. It started in Indianapolis. The founder of the program, his name is Scott Newman. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and it really destroyed him. He, just became smaller, stopped going out, stopped doing different activities. And a friend of his reached out and said, Scott, you got to get back to life. Like, you got to find a way to live with this disease. And so he invited him to come to his boxing class. And so Scott started going. And what happened was he found that it was helping him with his symptoms. And he realized there was something to this training that he was doing with boxing. And so he developed a nonprofit, Rocksteady Boxing Association, out in Indianapolis. And when I found out about it, I went out there and I trained there to become a certified trainer and brought the program back here to Randolph, where we offer it in the Y.
What does the program entail?
Primarily focused around boxing. So it's actual boxing training. It's heavy bags, speed bags, double end bags, everything that a boxer would do. And we hold it right here in our own facility. And people come and they work on so many different aspects of fitness training. But what's so amazing about boxing is that the way a boxer trains is also exactly the type of physical therapy that people with Parkinson's need to help them, overcome their symptoms. So, for example, placement of footwork, right? And how people stand helps with their balance. The way a boxer stands and the way a boxer moves helps people with their balance. The actual aspect of punching really helps people to extend. They talk all the time about Parkinson's making people small. It makes your body small. It makes your voice small. But actual boxing opens all of this up. And it really, it's so impactful. It's just amazing to see.
How many people do you see per class?
It can range anywhere from 20 to 30 people per class. We've had since 2016 hundreds of people come through our doors, men and women of all ages. It's been phenomenal. They talk about how it has changed their life, and they talk about what their doctors are saying to them, their neurologists, and how they're so impressed with their progress. With Parkinson's, it is a progressive disease. And so to just hold it at bay and not have it progress is amazing success in and of itself.
How is the program funded?
It's self-pay right now, but because we are a YMCA, no one has ever turned away for an ability to pay. So the YMCA has an annual fund, and it's a scholarship program. So for people who are unable to afford the program, we're able to provide assistance for them to attend.
You're located in Randolph. Where are people coming from to participate in this?
We've had people come from as far away as Pennsylvania. They drive. The program itself has expanded rather rapidly. When I started the program back in 2016, there were 2 facilities in New Jersey. We were the second. At this point now, there's over 800 locations globally.
It's amazing to me, though, that people from Pennsylvania, out of state, have to come all the way to Randolph, New Jersey to get something like this. I would feel like it should be everywhere, right?
Yeah, well, that's the hope, as it continues to expand, and it's opportunities like this to be able to talk to people about, how great this program is and how many people we can help. And so it's about creating awareness around it, and hopefully more people will open locations. It makes a difference. It is difficult. You're dealing with Parkinson's, and now you have to deal with getting in your car and driving an hour and then driving home, because when you leave, you're exhausted. It's a tremendous workout.
Before we wrap, I want to learn about you and your tenure as CEO and why you love doing what you do.
I've been in this industry for 4 decades, more than 4 decades. And what I find is that working at the Y isn't what I do. It's who I am. The ability to help people and impact the community is so rewarding that you can't put a price tag on that. And the people that work here with me, we feel the same way. We hire on passion and personality. Anyone can go out and get a certification, and you can become a fitness instructor. But if you don't like people, and if you're not inherently nice and kind, you're not going to make it in this world. And this is what we do every day, and I love it.
I could tell you do, and you're the perfect person to be at the helm of such an operation like the Randolph YMCA. Kathy, thank you so much for coming on here and talking about this very inspirational program for patients dealing with Parkinson's disease. Where can people find out more about you?
Well, they can go to our website at www.randolphymca.org. Of course, they can call us. They can come in, and they can also go to rocksteadyboxing.org, and they can find locations in their area. As I said, they're everywhere now. It's global.
Well, hopefully someone watched this segment like you did many years ago on CBS and will be inspired to start something like this in their own community. Thank you so much, Kathy.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me on another episode of Your New Jersey. I'm Lisa Marie Falbo. We'll see you back here next week.